Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order this March 5th, 2024 meeting of the Pierce County Council. The time is 3:02 p.m. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Campbell.
Here.
Councilmember Kruger. Here. Councilmember Denson. Here. Councilmember Herrera.
Here.
Councilmember Hitchin. Here. Councilmember Morrell.
Here.
Councilmember
Here.
Mello, you have 7 members present.
We have 7 members present and a quorum. Section 3 is our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and land acknowledgement. Today's moment of silence is dedicated to Washington State Patrol Trooper Christopher Gadd. Trooper Gadd, 27 years old, was hit and killed by a motorist on southbound Interstate 5 near 136th Street North in Marysville, just before 3 a.m. on Saturday morning. Gadd leaves behind a wife, a 2-year-old daughter, his father, mother, and a sister. Gadd was with Washington State Patrol for 2 years and is the 33rd member of the agency to die in the line of duty. Our hearts are heavy for the loss of this great public servant. Please join us in listening to the land acknowledgement and Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, led by Vice Chair Campbell, followed by a moment of silence dedicated to the life and service of Trooper Christopher Gadd. Vice Chair Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. And I would add that Trooper Gadd also had Tacoma connections, had gone to TCC, and was known here in the community also, locally. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional homelands of the Coast Salish tribes. Coast Salish people have lived on and stewarded these lands since time immemorial and continue to do so today. We recognize that this land acknowledgement is one small step towards true allyship, and we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of the indigenous people of this land. I'd like to invite all to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're at Section 4, approval of our agenda. Are there any objections to approving today's agenda as presented? Well, seeing no objection, the agenda is approved. On today's council agenda, there will be multiple opportunities for public comment. On the consent agenda, you may provide comment on any final action item. This does not include items placed on the consent agenda simply for introduction or scheduling. I do believe the one final action item on today's consent agenda will be moved to the regular agenda so that we may discuss it. So I'm not anticipating any final action items on today's consent agenda. During sections 8 and 9 of the agenda, we will take public comment on each ordinance and resolution individually. And finally, under community forum, there will be an opportunity to address the council on any topic that is not on today's agenda. For more information on the rules for public participation, please review the bottom of page 1 of today's agenda. So that does bring us to section 5, which is the consent agenda. Vice Chair Campbell for a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move approval of the consent agenda as amended, moving items C to A to section 9.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda with the addition of removing item C2A and moving it to section 9 of our agenda. With that motion, there are no final action items on the consent agenda, so there will be no public hearing. So we'll move right to a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on the consent agenda?
Aye. Councilmember Denson? Aye. Councilmember Herrera?
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin? Aye. Councilmember Morrell?
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Mello?
Aye.
The roll call vote is 7 ayes.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the consent agenda is adopted. With the members, if there's no objection by members, we will take up the item, the appointment resolution. We just move off the consent agenda to right after proclamations. Section 6, messages from the executive, judges, and prosecuting attorney. There are none today. So that does move us to Section 7, proclamations, recognitions, and awards. Our first proclamation is a proclamation of the Pierce County Council proclaiming the week of March the 11th through the 17th as Volunteer Recognition Week here in Pierce County, Washington. I'd like to invite Kyle Wintermuth, the Deputy Director of Pierce County Parks and Recreation, to the podium as Councilmember Kruever reads this proclamation into the record. Councilmember Kruever, I think I'll also note that we have some participants on Zoom that are also here to help receive this, along with Deputy Director Wintermuth. Councilmember Kruever.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. This is a proclamation of the Pierce County Council proclaiming the week of March 11 through 17 as Volunteer Recognition Week in Pierce County, Washington. Whereas the spirit of volunteerism is a cornerstone of our community, embodying the selfless dedication and compassion of individuals who willingly give their time, talents, and energy. And whereas Pierce County volunteers are the heart and soul of our community, contributing to the well-being and vitality of our county in countless ways, including as search and rescue volunteers, tutoring, master gardeners, supporting special events, child advocates, coaches, advisory committee members, and a multitude of other avocations. And whereas this year, the Pierce County Council dedicates the week of March 11 through 17 as Volunteer Recognition Week to provide an opportunity to express our deepest gratitude for the immeasurable impact that volunteers make every day, fostering a sense of unity, connection, and shared responsibility. And whereas recognizing the efforts of volunteers not only acknowledges their invaluable contributions, but also encourages a culture of giving back, fostering a stronger, more compassionate, and interconnected community. And whereas the annual Pierce County Government Volunteer Recognition event is scheduled for Saturday, March 16, 2024, to recognize individual and group volunteers' contributions to Pierce County government in 2023. And whereas the commitment and generosity of volunteers create a ripple effect, inspiring others to join in the noble pursuit of making a positive difference in the lives of those in need. And whereas it is important for all residents of Pierce County to recognize our responsibilities and follow the example of these volunteers by giving of ourselves for the betterment of our communities. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed on this 5th day of March, 2024, by the Pierce County Council that the week of March 11 through 17, 2024, is Volunteer Recognition Week in Pierce County, Washington. And on behalf of the residents of Pierce County, the Pierce County Council wishes to honor and thank the many dedicated volunteers who give generously of their time, energy, and abilities. The Pierce County Council hereby acknowledges the special efforts and contributions of the following recipients: Doug Schaefer, Volunteer of the Year; Oliver Bond, Golden Service Award; Shirley Karstens, Special Service; Jeff Salzer, Special Service; Joyce Frazier, Special Achievement; Michael Mira, Special Achievement; Deborah Bronken, Silver Service Award; Lois Foes, Silver Service Award; Elizabeth Hayward, Silver Service Award; Mary Hirsch, Silver Service Award; Nancy Lawton, Silver Service Award; Jill McNally Martinez, Silver Service Award. And the group Special Achievement goes to Larry Dorothy, Stan Nelson, Lorraine Nelson, and Mark Yorty. Pierce County Council. Thank you, Chair.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Coover. Let's give them a round of applause. Mr. Wintermoot, one of your many duties, your extracurricular activities, is helping the staff here at Pierce County honor community volunteers. You take this on as a extracurricular leadership activity. We're very grateful that you do to help us put on this recognition banquet brunch to honor volunteers. So I know you have some friends joining you on Zoom. We'll lean on you to introduce them, but we'd love to start with you for a few words.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you so much for allowing me to continue this. I really enjoy this. I've been actually helping with this event for, I think, going on 10 years and 4 years without my predecessor, who graciously took it over with the Parks Department. And we really enjoy doing this because we get to collaborate with a lot of the other departments and bring people together to really recognize those in those departments who have done exceedingly great work in volunteerism for Pierce County. So Pierce County was extremely fortunate in 2023 to have several volunteers of all ages, youth through adult, and several groups. Several backgrounds provided so much to many of the departments in Pierce County government. Through the nomination process, our committee received nominations from 9 different departments that we will honor, including those being recognized today. 10 groups and 58 individuals at this volunteer recognition social this coming Saturday, March 16th. Begins at 9 a.m., just so you have it on your calendars. We'll be at the McGavick Conference Center at the Clover Park Technical College. The Master of Ceremonies include our Pierce County Executive, Bruce Danmeyer, and our Council Chair, Ryan Mello. This year, Pierce County will hold its 46th year of celebration and appreciation for these community volunteers. I calculated the number of volunteer hours of service, these 10 groups and 58 individuals that are being recognized this Saturday, provided to Pierce County government in 2023. It was 16,713 hours. By using a conservative figure of $18 an hour, that's like $300,000 worth of service to Pierce County this last year. These dedicated people are notably representative of the numerous volunteers throughout Pierce County that provide thousands of additional hours to our Pierce County communities. Representing our top volunteer awards for 2023 today, we honored, as in the proclamation, Oliver Vaughn, Doug Schaefer, Shirley Karstens, Jeff Salzer, Joyce Frazier, Michael Mira, Deborah Bronken, Lois Voss, Elizabeth Hayward, Mary Hirsch, Nancy Lawton, Jill McNally Martinez, and the PCNet Instructor Group, who were named in the proclamation. The Pierce County Volunteer Recognition Committee and Pierce County government appreciate their dedication, their compassion, and their caring of all the volunteers who give their time and energy each and every day. Their services are a huge part of what makes Pierce County great, a place to live, to work, and to raise a family. Thank you again for this recognition.
Thank you. Is there anyone online we should be recognizing, Mr. Wintermoot?
Yes, please. So Jeff Salzar is on with us today. Mary Hirsch. I believe, let's see here. I think it's Jeff and Mary are both here today. So if I could turn it over to them.
Thank you. Anyone online joining for this proclamation, we would love to hear from you. Jeff, should we start with you?
Sure, that's fine. I thank you. Just doing what I enjoy doing out there. I am search and rescue, and so I spend a lot of my time recruiting, doing paperwork, and going out on search missions. So I thank you, and I will be there on Saturday.
We look forward to recognizing you even more publicly on Saturday. Thank you for joining us today to help accept this proclamation on behalf of your other honorees. Shirley, welcome. Shirley, can you hear us? Well, is there anybody else in the Zoom room? Mary? Hi, Mary. Hi, welcome.
Yes, thank you very much. I volunteer with 4-H, And it's such a wonderful organization helping these kids grow up with some good, strong values and learning responsibility. I could never think of doing anything more than that. So 4-H, it's a really honor that they let me participate and work with the kids. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your volunteer work and your leadership to help young people. Well, thank you again to our honorees who made time for us to preview the celebration to come on Saturday, March 16th at the McGavick Center at the campus of Clover Park Technical College. Let me open it up to my colleagues to see if you have any final remarks before we get to take a photo with Deputy Director Wintermood. Councilmember Coover.
Thank you, Chair. I just really appreciated being able to read this, but I'll tell you, I kind of have a little sense of envy that these folks all are able to manage their time and do all the things that they do. And I'll say with Jeff, you have a fan that had emailed about, this guy really needs to be the volunteer. And I really appreciate search and rescue things. I wish I had that talent to be able to do that. And I know that Chaplain Larry Dorothy wanted to be here, but he had to work because he too does so many things. And all of you, I'm just so grateful that you're hardwired, that you can do what you do because we need it. So thank you. Thank you. Oh, and I have to apologize. I cannot be there on that Saturday. I've had another commitment, but my thoughts and heart will be there with you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Hitchin.
Thank you. I want to first acknowledge and thank the committee that puts this and the leadership at the county level to make it happen, because we wouldn't get to recognize our volunteers if somebody didn't do that first step. Appreciate the process and the way you reach out across the county. And to the volunteers, the thousands of hours that our county benefits because these people step up and spend some time doing something, usually it's a passion of theirs or something that helps them, and they find a way that we offer that in our county. It allows for so many more touch points from our county government across our entire county. We're just a slightly large geographic body here, and there are spaces and places that we're able to get to with people that are familiar with the community they're serving and offer something, in some cases, really unique. It's something that we can't do as a government, but these volunteers have that skill and find a way to bring it in, whether you're talking about the master gardeners, because I can't keep plants alive very well, to the 4-H teams, to our volunteers that work with youth, the volunteers that help with some of our programming out with our justice involved community members, and then I see Michael Mira on here. I'm assuming it's the Michael Mira, so I'm assuming something related. I didn't nominate him, but something related to housing and homelessness. So we do so much, but there's only so much we can do, and this is a way to really spread things out. So thank you to any of the volunteers that are listening, and thank you for organizing this so we can publicly thank them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other remarks? Well, again, thank you to the honorees who are helping, who are here today and representing the many other honorees we're going to get to recognize on Saturday, the 16th of March. Thank you, Mr. Wintermood, for your leadership. It's a big production. It's a big effort, and I'm so glad we do it. It's so important to pause and show our gratitude to volunteers who do such a wide variety of tasks and leadership for us. So thank you. Let's invite you up here for a photo. Well, our next proclamation is a proclamation of the Pierce County Council proclaiming March the 9th, 2024 as Billy Frank Jr. Day here in Pierce County, Washington. I'd like to invite Sarah Colleen Sotamish, Sarah Colleen Sotamish, Senior Counsel for Tribal Relations in the Pierce County Executive's Office. We'd like to invite you to the podium, Sarah, as Vice Chair Campbell reads this proclamation into the record. Vice Chair Campbell.
Thank you, Chair. And I do want to note before I read this that this was brought forward by Councilmember Herrera, who is representing us in Washington, D.C. this week and has asked me to read it. A proclamation of the Pierce County Council proclaiming March 9th, 2024 as Billy Frank Jr. Day in Pierce County, Washington. Whereas this year Washington State commemorates the 50th anniversary of the Bolt decision, which upheld the tribal treaty rights entitling Native American tribes in Washington State to half the salmon catch and made the tribes co-managers who plan fisheries with the state. And whereas Billy Frank Jr. was instrumental in leading protests that became known as the fishing wars of the 1960s and 70s, where tribal members would exercise their treaty rights despite the risk of jail time, physical assault, and seizure of their property. And whereas this years-long demonstration resulted in the United States government suing Washington State for not upholding treaty rights of the Native peoples here, and whereas the Bolt decision is considered by experts as one of the most comprehensive and complex legal fights in the history of Native American law, not only forcing the U.S. and Washington State to keep promises in signed treaties, but also affirming in U.S. law that tribes are sovereign nations. And whereas a big part of this legacy is due to Billy Frank Jr., whose activism, leadership, and spirit of cooperation is a major part of the important piece of Pacific Northwest history, and more largely the relationship between tribal nations and Washington State. Whereas Billy Frank Jr. was a warrior and nationally known statesman who committed his entire life to protecting the ancestral lands. His Squaliabush, Nisqually people's traditional way of life, and the endangered Skadoosh salmon, whose survival is the focus of tribal life. And whereas his legacy also includes his service to the Northwest Indian Fisheries Commission, where he served as chair for most of its first 30 years, as well as his posthumous Presidential Medal of Freedom awarded by President Barack Obama. And whereas Billy Frank Jr.'s legacy lives on through his son, Willie Frank III, who continues to work collaboratively for healthy salmon habitats and national environments within Washington. Whereas the Pierce County Council recognizes Billy Frank Jr.'s legacy and the life of service as a guiding light for cross-cultural communication, bipartisanship, and leadership through collaboration, consultation, and bridge building to ensure the protection of the natural environment for salmon and more. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed on this, the 5th day of March 2024 by the Pierce County Council, that we celebrate Saturday, March 9th, 2024 as Billy Frank Jr.'s birthday, as Billy Frank Jr. Day in Pierce County, Washington, and we encourage community members to celebrate and learn more about Puget Sound's rich tribal history.
Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, Vice Chair Campbell, and well done with the Shutsi language. Different languages are not easy to pronounce, but well done. Sotamish, thank you so much for being with us.
I had a couple words. Is that okay?
Please.
And I promise not to go over my time like I did last time. Thank you, Pierce County Council, for this proclamation. And I'm here in support of your actions. I am Sarah Colleen Sotamish, Senior Counsel for Tribal Relations, and I've worked for the executive since 2018. I am a citizen of the Quinault Nation and its first tribal member attorney. Tribal relations has been my life's work. It's a privilege and honor to work for Pierce County. I am a descendant of at least 2 treaty signers of the 1855 Treaty of Olympia. I come from a fishing family which encompasses river and ocean fishing, sealing, and whaling. I have been involved in this issue since 1973 when I worked for the Quinault Nation the summer before the trial. Quinault Nation intervened and worked hard to identify their usual and custom fishing areas along with documentation of their historical fishery. I worked with the tribe's anthropologist, Dr. Barbara Lane. She interviewed my grandmother and went on a gathering expedition to pick sweetgrass. She said this is a great example of exercising our treaty rights, and I was privileged to be able to sit in through the whole trial. This experience changed my entire career, and I decided to attend law school. After graduating from the University of Washington School of Law in 1979, I was hired. My first job was with the Northwest Indian Fisheries Commission, where I met and worked with Billy Frank Jr., among others, and I developed a strong friendship with Billy that lasted a lifetime. I am proud to support this proclamation, and I especially like the last whereas, because this is what I do in my career. Whereas the Pierce County Council recognizes Billy Frank Jr.'s legacy and life of service as a guiding light for cross-culture connections, bipartisanship, and leadership through collaboration, consultation, and bridge building to ensure the protection of the natural environment for salmon and more. And just wanted to say that we are all citizens of Pierce County, and we all are going to work together to protect not only the salmon, the species, but also the environment. And I think for everyone, it's just going to benefit us in our future and our future children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. So thank you again. I appreciate this proclamation.
Thank you for being with us so much. Are there remarks by council members? Vice Chair Campbell.
And I'll defer to Councilmember Herrera first, since this was his proclamation brought forward.
Thank you. Councilmember Herrera,
Sure.
thank you for joining us. We know you're in D.C. on business, so welcome.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councilmember Campbell, for speaking for me. And I think this is very important to highlight some of our local heroes. I've talked about it before on several different other proclamations of highlighting our local heroes, our national heroes, and we have to talk a little bit about it. Billy Frank was, he held a significant meaning to many people here in Pierce County. And his spirit in fighting for Native American rights alongside numerous others, it wasn't just him, it was many others, had a profound impact on lots of people. And what particularly is noteworthy is his leadership in that collaborative approach in co-managing. I mean, he was arrested, he spent jail time, he was in those fishing wars, and he could have had an attitude of like, why work with the state? It's us versus them. But he came from a spirit of collaboration, and that's where that co-management part came out of it. And we're 40, 50 years later now, we see the co-management with the state and the tribes working together. Tribal hatcheries in Washington state produce over 40 million fish a year for everybody, not just for the tribes, for commercial, recreational, and tribal harvest. And I think it's important to work together. And this is his legacy, and it's not going away. And we're here working together, and it's amazing to see the fruits of his work, and his family can see the fruits of his work. And not just for the Nisqually tribe, but all the tribes across the Washington, all citizens of Washington State. So thank you again, Councilmember, for reading it. And one note, March 9th, the Discover Pass is free. Well, the pass isn't free, but you don't need us to Discover Pass to go out into the Sonora State Land, DNR, and some of our Washington State parks. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Herrera. Vice Chair Kimball?
Thank you, Chair. And again, I want to thank and acknowledge Councilmember Herrera's work on this. As part of Councilmember Herrera coming here, that I was able to get brought forward something that I've been working on for a while, which is the land acknowledgement that we shared earlier. And for some people, they just hear it as words that we repeat, but there's actually actions requested in here. The last line, we commit to uplifting the voices, experiences, and histories of the indigenous people of this land. And today, we follow through on that commitment when we stop and honor not only Billy Frank, but mostly his leadership, but share that history of how the Bolt decision came to be and the legacy and what that led to and how that has moved forward. And so I really appreciate us being able to take these opportunities to fulfill our commitment that we make at the beginning of each meeting and honor those in our community, particularly in the indigenous communities, and that history, and bring it forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilmember Krueger?
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Ms. Colleen, Sarah Colleen. I'm trying to get the whole thing right. I just wanted to mention that, when I go to Nisqually River Council meetings, they've always had good words to say about Billy Frank. And they always end like with a smile and a chuckle, like a memory. And I'm wondering if maybe you don't have a story that you could share, because you knew him. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but the guy, what I heard, he was quite the character and fun to be around. And I just wondered if you didn't have an endearing story that you might share, that, or if there's time, or I didn't want to put you on the spot but when you can feel the passion in people, you kind of want to know. And I also recall the emotion when the statue was being taken to D.C. And so I just was curious. You've worked hard for where you are.
He was quite colorful, and he always had this big smile and this charisma that just emanated from him. And we spent actually a lot of time going to different meetings at different tribal locations, and it was always interesting because Billy and I always ended up in the back seat. And one of the things that is probably a really fond memory is his love and devotion and interest in tribal children. And he really did spend a lot of time with my kids. And he was a great, model. And it was interesting because we used to meet over at LBA Park. And my kids, of course, they're pushing 40 right now, but they were little. And we'd go there to play. He would bring little Willie to play with David and Melanie. And so I have a very good relationship with Willie also. I feel like I'm kind of like his aunt, the Indian way. And I have a lot of respect for what he's doing also. But, just his presence in meetings was a sight to see. because he could mingle with everyone. But he also didn't like mingle with the legislators and, the big, muckety mucks. He was the same to everybody. Same person, same personality, same smile, same charisma. I always enjoyed getting a big hug from him, and he always was interested in what are you doing and how are you doing and how's your family. So, coming here for this proclamation was really special for me, and he was my hero. So, thank you.
Thank you for that. The passion and commitment that you could feel through Billy Frank just kind of makes you want to know more. And I appreciate hearing that. And it's a good example. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Kruger. Thank you for sharing those stories and that love you have for this great man. As Councilor Kruger alluded to, certainly Billy Frank Jr. Is a son of Pierce County, and that we are taking this opportunity to proclaim it. Billy Frank Jr. Day is really special for all of us. Well, it's definitely for those who actually knew him and got to work with him. Many of us are the beneficiaries of his great work. But reminding us that the state legislature in every state decides to send 2 statues to Statutory Hall in Washington, D.C., right? And Billy Frank Jr. Is one of them. One of only 2 statues from the state of Washington is of Billy Frank Jr. There's a replica of it, a model replica of it in our state capitol in Olympia at the moment. If you go down to the state capitol, it's on public display and you can see it. It's a replica. The real version is actively being finished, and for its display in Statutory Hall in the nation's capital for debut in 2025. So that's actively being worked on. It's a great honor. And again, only 2 statues from each state make their way to Statutory Hall. So it's a really big deal, and I'm glad that we pause and remember this really great man. Sarah Colleen, would you join us on stage to take a photo so we can help document this day? Thank you. It's not. One, two, three. One more. 1, 2. Got it. Thank you. Rose Reaper, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
This one. Well, thank you for allowing us to pause and proclaim those special recognitions. If there's no objection from council, I'd ask that we move to the appointment resolution we pulled off of our consent agenda, and it's Resolution 2024-134. Councilmember Krueger for a motion, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move proposal R 2024-134.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt Resolution 2024-134. Madam Clerk, please read the title.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Proposal number R 2024-134, a resolution of the Pierce County Council confirming the appointment of 2 new members, Alyssa DeLong and Desiree Sharpe, and the reappointment of 5 existing members, Joe Thompson, Tajinder Singh, Liwal, Jack Park, Blue Broughton, and Trevor Sutton to the Pierce County Tourism Promotion Area Hotel Commission.
Thank you. We have a number of these appointees here with us in our Zoom room. Thank you for making time to be here. We have the benefit of your written materials that we were able to review ahead of time, but thank you for making yourself available today. So we would love to turn to you briefly to briefly introduce yourself and share why you wish to serve. Alisa, could we start with you, please? Alisa DeLong, if you want to unmute yourself. Well, how's about Desiree Sharp? Desiree, we see you there. Thank you for being with us.
Well, good afternoon, Chair Mello and council members. My name is Desiree Sharp. I work with Rainier Guest Services, which operates the lodgings within Mount Rainier National Park. I'm very pleased with the opportunity to represent unincorporated Pierce County and help guide the use of the tourism funds for promotion of Pierce County. I thank you very much for considering my appointment.
Thank you for your willingness to serve. Alisa, I think you've unmuted yourself.
Thank
Elise,
you,
go
Chair
ahead.
Mello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Yes, I'm Elisa DeLong. I'm the general manager of the Fairfield by Marriott in Puyallup. I'm excited to have the opportunity, again, to represent Puyallup on the TPA committee and to help participate in the allocation of TPA funds in order to promote tourism to Pierce County. Thanks for considering my appointment.
Thank you for making yourself available. Mr. Dominique, are we missing anybody? I don't think there's any other appointees. There's quite a few appointees in this one resolution. So if we're missing anyone, if you want to raise your hand in Zoom so we can flag you and notice you. Is there anybody else in Zoom that's an appointee for this resolution? There's someone in the, you see that other person, Mr. Dominique?
Good afternoon, Delane. If you're here for the resolution 2024-134, now's your opportunity to speak.
Are you one of the appointees, Delane?
Yes. I work at Hidden Valley. I'm a cashier at the transfer station in Southfield, Puyallup. And I applied for the nomination to be on the board of Solid Waste Advisory Committee.
This is for the Pierce County Tourism Promotion Area Hotel Commission?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering. I was invited to this meeting. Not sure why, but
It's probably, my apologies. It was probably just an administrative error. There's a lot going on, and so you probably got an invitation by mistake. So apologies. We'll have our staff circle back with you to make sure you're at the appropriate meeting. Sorry to waste your time.
okay. No, I enjoyed listening to you guys. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for being gracious and understanding the error.
Okay, no worries. Thank you.
Do any council members have any questions for any of these appointees? I don't see any hands. So let's move to a public hearing. If there's no objection by council, we'll move to a public hearing. There's no members of the public here in council chambers. This is a public hearing on this appointment resolution. Mr. Dominique, anybody in the Zoom room?
For any member of the public that would like to provide public testimony on resolution number 2024-134, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Final remarks by council members. Councilmember Krueger.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to do the application and be a part of this committee. It is I think one of the most pleasurable committees that we have, and I look forward to working with you and how well your crystal ball is in determining the avenue for the tourism and building the economy. It has been very excellent, and the folks there are wonderful to work with, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I don't see any other final remarks. Again, thank you for volunteering to serve and make very important recommendations. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on Resolution 2024-134?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Denson. Aye. Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Morale.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
And Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the resolution is adopted.
Sure.
Vice Chair Campbell.
And thank you to Delaney Homer, who joined us. The appointment for the Solid Waste Commission was last week. Congratulations, you were appointed. And so sorry we weren't, I don't know if you're still on, but sorry we weren't able to recognize you last week, but thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm sure our Chief of Staff will have the appropriate person reach back out to make sure she knows the outcome of that. We are at Section 8, Ordinances. We have proposal number O, Ordinance 2024-505 before us. Vice Chair Campbell for a motion, please.
Thank you, Chair. I move adoption of proposal number O, 2024-505.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt Ordinance 2024-505. Madam Clerk, please read the title into the record.
Proposal number O, 2024-505, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council ratifying the collective bargaining agreement reached with the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, District Lodge 160, on behalf of Automotive Machinists Local 297, and amending the Pierce County Salary Classification Plan.
Thank you. Mr. Bookey, we have a number of collective bargaining agreements that are nearing the end of their process. This is the first one this afternoon.
We do, and I move by unanimous consent we approve all 5 so that all these employees will end up happy tonight. Okay, so the first one is an ordinance ratifying the collective bargaining agreement reached with the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers. This is a 2-year collective bargaining agreement with 22 full-time equivalent employees in the fleet rental and equipment rental and revolving funds. Both funds are internal service funds that provide vehicles and equipment to county departments. The fleet rental is under finance and handles passenger vehicles mainly, most of them being in the sheriff's department. Equipment rental and revolving fund is in planning and public works, and it has what was colloquially termed yellow iron, the larger pieces of equipment. And so these are the folks that maintain those pieces of equipment. Positions covered are equipment technician, that's 11 FTEs, equipment technician ASE master, 6 FTEs, equipment technician lead, 3 FTEs, equipment supervisor, equipment service attendant, and equipment technician ASE, and those are 1 each. This is a 2-year agreement running from January 2024 through December 2025. The agreement calls for a wage increase of 4% on January 8th. That would be retroactive to January 8th, 2024, and 4% on January 6th, 2025. Other provisions include changes in the boot allowance and increases in specialty pay. This was given a due pass recommendation at the February 20th, 2024 Rules and Operations Committee meeting. And Ms. Melissa Arnold and Matthew Wood are here to answer any of your questions. They are online from Human Resources.
Thank you. Ms. Arnold, Mr. Wood, anything to add on behalf of the department?
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Do any members have any questions before we open this up for a public hearing? Seeing none, this is a public hearing on ordinance 2024-505. There's no members of the public in council chambers. Mr. Dominique, anybody in the Zoom room wishing to provide comment?
For any member of the public wishing to provide testimony on proposal number O 2024-505, press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Are there final remarks by council members? I'll just make this comment once. Council gets to spend lots of time with the bargaining team, helping to give input on these bargains. So we spend a lot of time with these. You may not have, the public may not see council have questions here, but we've studied these in committee and through the collective bargaining process. And we just want to thank our labor relations team for working so hard to come to completion on collective bargaining agreements, and thank our the employees who are bargaining these contracts. This is about respecting you and supporting you to continue to do the good work as public servants, and making sure we can recruit and retain great employees. So this is one of 5 collective bargaining agreements today with different labor unions, and we're just very grateful to the hard work of our staff who wake up every day to provide great public service to the people of Pierce County. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on O 2024-505?
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Morale.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
Councilmember Danson.
Aye.
And Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
Result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted. We're at proposal O 2024-506. Vice Chair Campbell for a motion, please.
Thank you, Chair. I move proposal number O 2024-506.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt proposal O 2024-506. Madam Clerk, please read the title.
Proposal number O 2024-506, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council ratifying the collective bargaining agreement reached with the Washington Alliance of Technology Workers, Local 37083 of the Newspaper Guild, Communication Workers of America, AFL-CIO.
Last line, please.
Last line is County Salary Classification Plan.
Thank you. Mr. Boki.
Thank you very much, Chair Mello, Paul Boki, council staff. This is a 2-year collective bargaining agreement with 9 full-time equivalent employees in the Radio Communications Fund and in the Emergency Communications Network Fund. The Radio Communications Fund is an internal services fund. They maintain radios for the various departments, mainly sheriff, corrections, and public works. And the Emergency Communications Network Fund is a special revenue fund. The positions covered are communications systems technician, that's 6 FTEs, and communications equipment installer, 3 FTEs. It's a 2-year agreement running from January 2024 through December 2025. The agreement calls for a wage increase of 4% in January 8th, 2024, and 4% on January 6th, 2025. In rules, it was mentioned there are also changes to the shift differential and tower climbing pay. I think I heard that right. I kept the note, but the HR representatives may want to speak to that. This was given a due pass recommendation at the February 20th, 2024 Rules and Operations Committee meeting, and the HR representatives are on the line to answer your questions.
Thank you. Ms. Arnold, anything to add on behalf of the department?
No, thank you. And it was in fact shift differential and tower climbing pay, so that was correct.
Thank you for confirming. Any questions or comments by council members? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. There's no members of the public here in council chambers. Mr. Dominique, any member of the public in our Zoom room wishing to provide comment on this?
For any member of the public wishing to provide public comment on proposal number O 2024-506, press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Are there final remarks by council members? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on ordinance 2024-506?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Morrell.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
And Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted. That brings us to item number 3, proposal O 2024-507. Vice Chair Campbell for a motion, please.
Thank you, Chair. I move approval of ordinance number O 2024-507.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2024-507. Madam Clerk, please read the title.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Proposal number O 2024-507, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council ratifying the collective bargaining agreement reached with the International Union of Operating Engineers Local 612 Supervisors Unit, effective January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2025, and amending the Pierce County Salary Classification Plan.
Thank you. Mr. Boki to brief the council.
Thank you, Chair Mello, Paul Boki, council staff. This is a 2-year collective bargaining agreement with 12 full-time equivalent employees in the county road fund. That's 12 full-time equivalent employees in total, 10.5 in the county road fund, and another almost 1.5 in the surface water management fund. Both are special revenue funds located in the Planning and Public Works Department. The position covered is a road operations supervisor. This is a 2-year agreement running from January 2024 through December 2025 with a wage increase of 4% on January 8, 2024 and 4% on January 6, 2025. Also included are changes to the on-call rate, clothing allowance, and grade changes to avoid wage compression. This was given a due pass recommendation at the February 20th, 2024 Rules and Operations Committee meeting.
Thank you. Ms. Arnold, anything on behalf of the department?
No, thank you.
Thank you for being available. Any questions or comments by council members? Well, seeing none, this is a public hearing on ordinance 2024-507. There are still no members of the public here in council chambers. Mr. Dominique, anybody in the Zoom room?
Or any member of the public that would like to provide public testimony on ordinance number 2024-507, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Are there final remarks by council members? I don't see any. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on ordinance 2024-507.
Councilmember Morrell.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted. We're at item number 4, ordinance 2024-508. Vice Chair Campbell for a motion, please.
Thank you, Chair. I move proposal number O 2024-508.
It's been properly moved and seconded to adopt ordinance 2024-508. Madam Clerk, please read the title into the record.
Proposal number O, 2024-508, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council ratifying the collective bargaining agreement reached with the professional and technical employees, local number 17, Engineering Supervisors Unit, effective January 1, 2024 through December 31, 2025, and amending the Pierce County Salary Classification Plan.
Thank you. Mr. Boki?
Thank you, Chair Mello, Paul Boki, council staff. This is a two-year collective bargaining agreement with 43 full-time equivalent employees in the County Road Fund and the Surface Water Management Fund. And both those funds are special revenue funds housed within the Planning and Public Works Department. Job classifications covered by this agreement are Asset Management Specialist, Civil Engineer 3, Contracts and Projects Coordinator, Engineering Technician 4, Environmental Biologist 3, Right-of-Way Agent 3, and Water Quality Supervisor. This is a two-year agreement running from January 2024 through December 2025. The agreement calls for a wage increase of 4% on January 8th, 2024, and 4% on January 6th, 2025. And this was given a due pass recommendation at the February 20th, 2024 Rules and Operations Committee meeting.
Thank you. Ms. Arnold, anything to add on behalf of the department?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments by council members? Not seeing any. This is a public hearing on ordinance 2024-508. There remains no members of the public in council chambers, so we'll move to the Zoom room. Mr. Dominique?
For any member of the public that would like to provide a public comment on proposal number O 2024-508, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to the council. Are there final remarks by council members? I don't see any. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on ordinance 2024-508?
There's my microphone. Councilmember Campbell?
Aye.
Councilmember Krueger?
Aye.
Councilmember Denson?
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera?
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin?
Aye.
Councilmember Morale?
Aye.
And Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
The result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted. We have our final collective bargaining agreement this evening. It's proposal O 2024-509. Vice Chair Campbell for a motion.
Thank you, Chair. I move proposal number O 2024-509.
It's been properly moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2024-509. Madam Clerk, please read the title into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Proposal number O 2024-509, an ordinance of the Pierce County Council ratifying the collective bargaining agreement reached with Council 2, Washington State Council of County and City Employees, American Federation of State
Last line,
County.
please.
Last line is classification plan.
Thank you. Mr. Boki, your last one of the day.
Thank you very much, Chair Mello, Paul Boki, council staff. This is a two-year collective bargaining agreement with 59 full-time equivalent employees in the sewer utility. And the sewer utility is an enterprise fund, and in our nomenclature, that means it basically runs as a self-supporting business. The sewer utility being one of our larger operations that we do in county government. The positions covered include wastewater maintenance technician, wastewater maintenance specialist, and wastewater maintenance worker. The sewer utility is an enterprise fund in the Planning and Public Works Department, and this is a two-year agreement running from January 2024 through December 2025. The agreement calls for a wage increase of 4% on January 8th, 2024 and 4% on January 6th, 2025. This was given a due pass recommendation at the February 20th, 2024 Rules and Operations Committee meeting.
Thank you. Ms. Arnold, anything to add on behalf of the department?
Nope, thank you so much.
Thank you again for making yourself available. Any questions or comments by council members? Don't see any. This is a public hearing on ordinance 2024-509. No members of the public here in chambers. Mr. Dominique, we'll turn to the Zoom room.
For any member of the public that would like to provide public comment on proposal number O 2024-509, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. There are no hands at this time, Chair.
Seeing no hands, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back to council. Are there final remarks by council members? I don't see any. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on ordinance 2024-509.
Councilmember Cruver.
Aye.
Councilmember Denson.
Aye.
Councilmember Herrera.
Aye.
Councilmember Hitchin.
Aye.
Councilmember Morale.
Aye.
Councilmember Campbell.
Aye.
Councilmember Mello.
Aye.
Result of the roll call vote is 7 ayes and 0 nays.
On a vote of 7 ayes and 0 nays, the ordinance is adopted. Again, thank you to department staff and everyone who's working on these collective bargaining agreements. Item number 9, resolutions. There are no further resolutions for consideration this afternoon. Item 10 is community forum. Community forum is an opportunity for members of the public to address the council on any topic that is of significance to or affecting Pierce County government and that did not appear on today's agenda. There is a 3-minute time limit. We ask you to state your name if you would like it on the record and to address all your comments to the chair. We'll start with those in chambers. Is there any member of the public in chambers wishing to participate in community forum? I don't want to make any assumptions. Seeing no one come to the podium, we'll go to our Zoom room to see if anybody wants to participate in community forum today. Dominique.
For any member of the public that'd like to participate in the community forum, please press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. And we have 2 hands. We'll start with David Terry Hurd. Go ahead, you have 3 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak on the first 2 items that you had? For volunteerism, I hope all the volunteers keep the faith and achieve satisfaction for their efforts. As one of those that volunteered on a whole bunch of different things, it's sometimes very difficult to maintain a good positive effort and do the work required as a volunteer. The second issue I wish to speak to is the Billy Frank. It is a sad part of our history that the treaties have not been honored as they should have been. And I said, I request that the days of fishing for tribe and others be separate days to stop the harassment of both sides. May we all work together for this issue and the environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have caller ending in 874. Please state your name for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Afternoon, Chair Mello. Can you and the council hear me okay?
We can hear you.
So I just know I don't want to keep everybody because you had a long meeting here today, but I would just like to ask Chair Mello if the council received the email I sent at 12:05 today. I requested a confirmation of receipt. Did not receive that, so I don't know if my email communications to the council are actually making it to the council members. So if you could just confirm that email was received, I will conclude my public comment today.
It was received. Thank you, Mr. Wick.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. You as well.
For any members of the public that would like to participate in the community forum, press the raise hand icon in Zoom or star 9 on your telephone keypad. There are no more hands, Chair.
No further hands. We'll close the community forum portion of our meeting. Thank you again to members for participating. We're at other business and announcements. Is there any other business or announcements from council members? Councilor Hitchin.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to remind those listening and those here in chambers with me that this Thursday we'll have our first in-district meeting for this year as a council. It'll be in the town of Stillicum, starting time at 6:30, and I've been assured that parking we will make it work, and let me know if you have any questions. And the agenda really kind of talks about or lends itself to like public health, looking at how Blue Zones is happening within parts of my district, District 6, along with Districts 5 and 3, getting an update there, and looking at the Chambers Bay dam and bridge removal, getting an update there as that's impacting multiple communities, but it's just right down the road from where we'll be if you want to drive past it on the way there. And then the health department will be on board to discuss communities of focus, which are in several of our districts. And we will kick off with a welcome from the mayor, Dick Murray, and we're going to learn a little bit about how the town of Stillicum has really come out of the pandemic better. So they did some investments. We did some investments in the town of Stillicum. So after the pandemic, they've kind of built some infrastructure and they've got some good things going and they want to share. So looking forward to it. Hope you can all join me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hitchin. Thank you for preparing us. We're looking forward to those updates and hearing from the community. Any other business by members? I don't see any. Mr. Cox, any other business for council?
No, sir.
With no further business before the Pierce County Council, we are adjourned.
Strawn came to me talking about doing this regional food truck inspection program. Right off the bat, I thought it was a phenomenal idea. Why not get in front of the problem, fix it, and make it fair and equitable for all these folks that are traveling around?